Um, Again, good afternoon. Richard Davis, Director for Alternative Dispute Resolution at the Department of Labor and Industry. We appreciate everyone taking time out of their schedules to join us here today. I'm going to do just a couple of brief updates about what's going on across the department, and then we'll get into this month's demonstration. And as always, we would encourage everyone to drop their questions, comments into the chat, both so we can respond to it, so other folks can see it. And then if there are things that we're not able to answer right now in real time, we can have a record of it and we can certainly follow up on that. So thanks in advance. Uh, First, just wanted to share a couple of general reminders and updates with folks. I think these are some things that maybe we've already discussed, but just wanted to make sure that once again, we covered this. The renovations that are still taking place here at our office in St. Paul, 443 Lafayette, those are continuing. They're ongoing. We're still, at least to my knowledge, on track to have things completed primarily by the end of the month of June, maybe not 100%, but certainly 95 or so percent complete by the end of June. And as I said before, that appears to be on track. However, while that work is still ongoing, we are not scheduling mediations or conferences here in St. Paul. So we would just ask that people be patient with this while the work is ongoing. We've, I think, had pretty good luck getting these completed remotely over the course of the past several months, and so we'll continue with that for the time being. At the request of some parties, we have allowed mediations to be conducted and held in person offsite, and that's with the agreement of all parties involved. So if that's something you are interested in pursuing specific to mediations, please reach out to the assigned mediator, have that discussion with him or her, as well as the other parties involved. That very well may be something that's an option moving forward. One thing that we haven't covered before, but I certainly wanted to speak to briefly here, is the possibility of a shutdown. I think if anyone's been looking at the news here for the past few weeks, we know that that's been floating around in the background. As of this morning, still no concrete news one way or the other about what's going to happen. So I get my information from our leadership team here at DLI, our Commissioner Rosalind Robertson, and our Deputy Commissioner Nicole Blissenbach. And so with them, we monitor the situation along with the governor's office, and as information comes through, we'll be certain to pass that along. And in that same vein, we do recognize that there are conferences and mediations that are still scheduled for next week and beyond. And if there are any changes to be made, if there are any reassignments or rescheduling that needs to take place, those announcements and notices to the affected parties will be sent out at some point here in the days ahead. But that's still up in the air and it's to be determined. But we just ask for your patience as we get news. Certainly we'll do what we can to pass it along in a timely manner. Lastly here, I just want to let folks know that our law firm newsletter with campus updates is slated to go out tomorrow afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. As always, if you have thoughts, comments, questions, items that either we don't cover today or just things that you would like maybe a little bit more in-depth information on, you can certainly reach out to me with those comments and suggestions. I also wanted to take a few minutes to discuss a few personnel announcements. I think that many of you may be aware that Brian Mack has been promoted to the role of ADR supervisor. That took place about 2 weeks ago, back on June 9th. We're certainly grateful for the work that Brian has done. I think that many folks on this call know that Brian has been a tremendous resource for the work in campus, providing tips and guidance to people all across the state for the past several months. So we certainly congratulate Brian, and we're happy to have him in the leadership role with us as an ADR supervisor. With that being said, Brian taking on these additional duties does mean that he's being pulled back somewhat from the campus support that he's been providing. However, we are certainly blessed to have folks like Aaron Fredrickson, who's done some of the trainings or in the demonstrations here with the answer hour, and also Chris Raymond, who's going to be leading us through a demo today to be available to provide support for any questions or issues that arise, they would be considered what we call our tier 2 support team. So Chris and Aaron, as well as other folks here at the department, are certainly a resource moving forward to pick up the slack in Brian's absence moving forward. And I'll also just throw a shout out for our folks at the help desk. A lot of these folks are learning. We continue to provide them with ongoing training and guidance around all issues related to campus, workers' compensation generally. And we're excited about being able to get them up to speed so that they can more proactively address and answer questions without having to refer them even to our tier 2 staff. I also wanted to certainly make mention of a couple of vacancies that have been created within the alternative dispute resolution unit for a couple of different reasons. Sadly, Lee Keller, who's a longtime employee of the agency, passed away back on May 30th. It was a shock to us all. He was very highly respected, well regarded both here by his colleagues and certainly across the workers' compensation bar. So his passing was a big loss. Again, certainly unexpected. So we've sent our condolences to his family, and that was something that hit us all pretty hard. On the flip side of that, we were pleased to be able to share that Dave Bateson, who's been a longtime mediator on our team, was recently selected as a workers' compensation judge. And given some of the quick turn there, Dave actually began his duties at OEH yesterday, so we've had to bid him adieu on a fairly short amount of time. So I mention all this just to make sure that folks are aware that we are actively working with our leadership to do what we can to backfill for both Lee and Dave, and then also for Brian. However, the one caveat and the catch to that is that we are still operating under a hiring freeze. This was announced back in, I believe, April of last year when the state was dealing with COVID at the outset. And MMB still has a process in place where anytime there's a vacant position that needs to be filled, we have to first get approval from MMB before we can post that position and start the hiring process. So we are actively working with our HR folks here with MMB to secure that approval. And once we get it, we will, as soon as possible, post and begin the hiring process. But as of now, we're in a bit of a holding pattern, like a lot of things these days. So I just want to make sure that I share that with the folks on this call today. And we'll also be sending out some updates in other forums, including the newsletter, so that people are aware of what we're doing here at DLI. With that, I will turn it over to my friend Chris Raymond. And Chris, please take it away and walk us through the items you would like to cover for this month's demo.
Sure. Let me see what my agenda is, and we'll get started. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to use Aaron. This is my point person. Aaron, can you see this Word Perfect? Or Word Perfect. How old am I? This Microsoft Word document I put up?
No.
No.
That wasn't me, by the way, Chris. That was Darcy.
My voice changed. Oh, because I have to click share. There we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. Well, just to begin with, my name's Chris Raymond. I'm a mediator and arbitrator with the Department of Labor. I've worked here in a couple different stints. I have a total of about 15 years working as a mediator and arbitrator with the state. I've also worked in the insurance industry as a claims adjuster, claims supervisor, claims manager, assistant vice president of claims for a reinsurance corporation, and loved many of those jobs, but by far I appreciate working at the department above them all. For the past couple of years, my focus has really been on campus. I'm what we call a utilization acceptance tester. They've added that onto my duties, and that just means I am one of the people that goes in and discovers the bugs, the things that are broken, and then I bring that to the attention of our computer repair people, a company called CapTech. So that's kind of my background at the department, and I'm happy to say that Brian Mack has been elevated to supervisor, and he's my boss now. and he's a good boss because I've worked with him before. So I'm happy to try to help out in these answer half-hour sessions. So today, we're going to take a look at 4 things that are help desk kind of singled out as these are pretty frequent questions that we get. So we're going to take a look at the WID lookup, and so we'll take a look at the web page and I'll demo that. We'll take a look at how to file what happens when you need to file a notice of appeal to the WCCA. I've got information about that. Mostly it'll be referral information. There are questions about filing a motion to intervene. So I've got some information on that, and we'll do a quick demo there. And then finally, filing annual claims. It's not much information that I have because that's in the special fund, but I've got referral information for you. And I have to say, with respect to things that are under the Department of Labor's jurisdiction, we've really been focusing on the help desk as kind of our central point of contact, and then they triage the questions, calls, and concerns, and then route them to the appropriate business unit at the department. So with that said, I've given you our agenda. Let's take a look at the worker ID number. So the worker ID number is the worker identification number, and we've got a lookup that we built into Campus to make it fairly easy when there's a WID, when there's an employee. And the questions that we're getting are, how do I find the employee's WID? What do I do if I can't find the employee's WID? So what we're trying to continue to spread the word is make sure that you know which WID you're looking for. There's a different WID in Campus. I mean, really the numbers are pretty much the same. It's just we use a different format. So in Campus we use EE dash, then numbers and dashes. And OAH uses more of the legacy WID on their C-track program. So we've got under Campus we had to develop a new format, but OAH still follows the old format. So if you're looking for a WID in Campus, we follow that EE format. That's what the WID will look like. There's a hyperlink right here, and I find the chat function. Well, there's a hyperlink right here, but we can also go through the website, the Department of Labor's website, and find the instructions on looking for the WID, doing the lookup, and let's see if I can get I want to switch over to a website. And let's see, let me share web browser. Okay, so here is the Department of Labor's webpage on, that's not the one, here we go. Here it is on worker identification number lookup. It talks about how to obtain worker ID numbers, the background of it, Campus, a little more background on how it came up or what the WID number is, and a couple of screenshots. And when everything's PT and fine, it works great. So here I'm logged in as Ernest Buck. He's a famous defense attorney that I made up for doing some testing. And it's as simple as when you're logged into your Campus account or Campus webpage, then go into your submit a filing, which everybody should be pretty used to or find useful for accessing cases, initiating disputes. But they added the WID lookup at the bottom here. So really pretty simple. Go in, and then we need to provide the injured worker's last name, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of the social security number. And please hang in with me while I grab this from and the last 4. All right, so we've got this injured worker. We've got his information. In this case, it's a he. Put that in, and there we go. It tells us this is for Alfred Flintstein, and this is his worker ID number. So from there we can do whatever you're going to do that you need that worker ID number to process any disputes, that sort of thing. I'm going to go back to I apologize, I'm having a little, I'll stop sharing here. And okay, so that's in the case in the easy cases where we find the information that we're looking for. But what do you do if you can't find what you're looking for? Again, you need to know if you're looking for something that you want to put under the Department of Labor's jurisdiction as opposed to OAH. So if you can't find the worker ID number, contact our help desk first by telephone or by email, and let them help you out, and we can do a little more research here to see if there's another missing information or if there actually is a WID number. As opposed to if we're talking about you need that WID for OAH, for an OAH matter, then you can send an email to OAH at this email address right here, nowidonline@state.mn.us, and then they want you to include your filing, your pleading, and then a signed statement indicating that you contacted the department and verified that a WID is not yet assigned here at the department. So that is what I've got under the worker ID number. Are there any questions on this, or should I proceed to our next matter on the agenda?
And Chris, I'm not seeing anything in the chat box, so.
Okay. And our next common question or theme is, how do I file a notice of appeal to the Workers' Comp Court of Appeals? And how do I file a courtesy copy of a notice of appeal on a campus claim? So in order to file that notice, it needs to be filed with OAH, of course, and you need to follow their process. And it's that simple. If you need information about that, you can contact the administrative Office of Administrative Hearings, and here's their information, and also the Court of Appeals if you needed to speak with one of their staff attorneys or something. Now, simply if you're looking to file a courtesy copy on a campus claim, meaning this is a notice of appeal, not something that we at the department are going to deal with unless you want to bring it in as a mediation, but you want to have that on the campus file. You can upload that document to the claim. So you just go in, excuse me, open up that particular claim, and then submit that upload. And then if you have questions about that, again, it's a referral to the help desk. They're going to streamline it. They may be able to help you, or they might send it to me, and I might call you and we'll try to figure things out if you have questions. But, the big thing with a lot of this, as always, is just make sure is this Department of Labor, is this OAH? And then if you want to submit filing just to, as a courtesy or to make sure something's on that campus file, you can certainly do so just by adding that document. But please remember, that's not going to make it from here to OAH. You have to create that filing, following the regular path that OAH and the Court of Appeals have set out for you. And let's move on to file a motion to intervene, because this is something we know a little bit more about, or I know a little bit more about. So again, the common, one of the foremost common questions is, how do I file a motion to intervene? What if the dispute's under an OAH, jurisdictional case? So it's important to recognize and to understand that a dispute under the Department of Labor's jurisdiction, or that motion needs to be filed with the Department of Labor using campus if it's under our jurisdiction. So if you know that there's a medical request pending before me at the Department of Labor for an administrative conference, say, then the parties that want to intervene on that dispute, they need to go through the Department of Labor. However, if that medical request the conference got canceled and sent to OAH, well, now they have jurisdiction. We no longer do. So it's important to know where that jurisdiction lies. And there's a different method, to file that motion to intervene at OAH. You need to use C-Track. And so we've got, again, there's two, points of contact. OAH if you need help, and then of course our help desk, the Department of Labor. As far as filing a motion to intervene, I'm gonna switch again. I think I'm getting the hang of, I haven't done this in a few years. Let's see here. So we'll go back again to Ernest Buck's dashboard. And he just goes to submit a filing, access a case or claim. What are you trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to file a motion to intervene. And then it'll bring you to that lookup screen that we're all used to by now. So you can look up the, excuse me, the dispute. And then enter the intervener details, go in here and I'm gonna find a claim. Now these are the claim information I use, it's all made up. So we're not looking at any private data that we shouldn't be seeing.
And while Chris is filling out this information, this is Aaron Frederickson. One thing I do want to reiterate is we do see a lot of problems when people are intervening and the case is at the Office of Administrative Hearings. In the past, we would accept intervention claims when the case was at the Office of Administrative Hearings, but now campus is only designed to accept motions to intervene when the case is at the Department of Labor and Industry. I know in past answer hour sessions, we've encouraged attorneys that send out intervention notices to specifically state what workers' compensation court the case is at. We are seeing an improvement there. And I think too, it's just a matter too of paying extra close attention to where the case is, so that you don't spend a lot of frustration and time trying to intervene on campus when the case is at Office of Administrative Hearings.
Thank you, Aaron, for pointing that out. I might have gone a little bit quickly, so I appreciate that you gave a little emphasis to that because it is an important factor. So here we're going to file that motion. I picked a campus file number that I know, and then Flintstein is kind of my takeoff of Flintstone, and Alfred, believe it or not, is my grandfather's name, so I just kind of made that up. All right, so we pull up this particular claim, and it's giving us well, the WIDs, but it's giving us different disputes, the DS number, and so we get to take a look and see which of these cases we're intervening on. I would go, you know, we have a medical dispute, so there'd be a medical intervener, and that would be the one that I would choose at this point. And then it's looking for a party name. Now, I have previously gone in when I've done testing, and I've put different healthcare providers in to make this work. So, excuse me, it would normally give us a lookup like that, but it's nice that it gives us a drop down of previous intervention parties. So I'm going to do a lookup here, and just using the most common, you know, thing that we think of with the motion to intervene as healthcare providers. So we can do name search, you can plug in their FEIN, plug in their addresses, city, state, zip code. I would say probably, if you don't mind just doing a search and scrolling through a few different healthcare provider names, it might be easier to locate the one that you're looking for, because the address might be too specific. Sometimes is it 2nd Street North or North 2nd Street. So I would go with the name. If you know the FEIN, that would be enough. But of course, the city, state, and zip code. So let's just take a look. For example, Alina. It's where my mother treats. Now there's a lot of, this one it was too general of a search because Alina's, you know, is huge. So I'd want to have more information. Here's where I'd want to put in the city. Obviously the state would generally be Minnesota, but let's just pick one. And here's where we put in our intervention. Say $50 maybe for physical therapy. Oops, let's go 620. And acknowledge the intervention. Here's where we would upload documents. So, you know, I would put what would normally accompany a motion to intervene, medical records, bills, itemizations, and then the attorney needs to put in her or his bar ID. And boom. Oops, I forgot that they have this title they want. So then we have to specify the parties that we're serving. The affidavit of service now it's a little large because it lists all of the other legal representatives below the attorney. Really would, excuse me, just need to put the attorney there. And here we have Ernest. And if I had a singing voice right now, and no allergies, this is where we would sing "The Wheels on the Truck Go Round and Round." And finally, it happened. That motion to intervene was successfully submitted. Here's the document.
Chris, I think if you were singing, I would have grounds to bring an emotional distress workers' compensation claim. So
That is good to know. I know what to do now. So here you can open this up as a PDF. And I mean, essentially the same document, but then you can save it if you keep your files digitally or, whatever you do, print it out. And then, of course, print it out to serve the parties that are not on the campus, that don't have a campus account. And here's where the address labels get generated. Here it doesn't look like here we go, we've got one. So AAA, really big insurer, they're the ones that we need to send, for example, manually. Now, this is a test database, of course. In reality, in campus, the employer, the insurer, they all have to have a campus account.
This is Aaron. I'm just going to jump in so Chris can get a quick drink of water and run a little interference for him. One of the things that I wanted to reiterate here is that campus, when people properly use the web form, campus generates the document itself. And, I guess you can still use the paper form and use that as an attachment. Again, all of the web form needs to be used or the filing is improper. But a lot of times I'm seeing that people are completing the web form correctly, but then as an attachment, they're also, doing the old motion to intervene, etc. And I guess my comment is you're certainly free to do that, but there's an opportunity to save yourself time because if you're required to complete it on campus, you don't need to, complete the old paper form. Certainly the attachments are helpful, but that's just a time-saving tip that I wanted to share. So, Chris, anything else? Do I need to run a little more interference for you, or do you have your voice back?
Well, I don't know for how long, but yeah, no, that's a good point. For the attachments, you'll want to scan those and upload them, and yeah. That's all I've got. Those were the 4 big things that the help desk encountered this month. And certainly if you have any questions, please let us know because our time's really winding down. It's after 12:30 now. I would like to say, it's great we can go to the help desk and, and look at the phone calls that we're getting and tickets that we're getting here in ADR and try to figure out where your questions are. But please, let us know. Send an email to the department, for example, if there are topics that you want us to cover with you. But keep in mind that we're the alternative dispute resolution unit. So, for example, we don't have special funds information. You might want to attend one of their, Q&A answer half hours. We don't have, we don't deal with OAH jurisdiction. So just make sure, that what you're asking us for is something that we deal with at the department. I guess if you don't know, ask us that too. So we'd be more than happy to address those things. Aaron, you're a little more of an expert at this. This is the first time I'm talking to folks in these things. Is there anything that you would normally say as we wind down? Yeah, and he might have left already.
Yeah, it looks like he's muted. So Chris, I'll just take it from here. I appreciate you and I appreciate Aaron walking us through the items that you covered today. And you're right. This is what we're seeing in terms of information that's being funneled through our help desk. So we hope that some of the people who are a part of the call today found this useful. So again, appreciate you, Chris, for this. And your last comment was spot on. If there's anything that we weren't able to cover today, but you still want some assistance, you need some guidance, please reach out to us, whether it's through the help desk, the email address that Chris had already put into the chat there, helpdesk.dli@state.mn.us. Reach out to the help desk. Reach out to you can reach out to me. You can reach out to any of the contacts we have here to let us know how we can assist you in terms of navigating campus and making the process work a little bit more smoothly for you. But we are out of time. We're actually a few minutes over. Yeah, we got
Richard,
one
you
question.
do have one card.
Yeah, I just saw it pop up here. What if I want to serve the motion via email instead of US mail? and that's one of our folks, Francis. So Francis, we can follow up with you offline. Actually, I'm late for a meeting that I have to get to, so I apologize for that. But that's actually something that, again, what we'll do, this is a good thing that Francis actually called out. Let's make sure that we capture this, and even for our newsletter tomorrow, we can put this even in our FAQs or highlight this particular question. So Francis, we'll take that, and yeah, we'll make that a point. Thanks, Tina, for following up. We'll make a point to highlight that even in our newsletter tomorrow about what needs to happen and the steps that have to be taken to make sure that a motion is filed, or when you're asking to file something via email versus US mail or vice versa. So we'll take that as a takeaway. Okay. So thanks everyone for being a part of today's discussion, and we will be in touch with you soon. And in the meantime, please reach out. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.